Shalom Achuti. Today I want to speak to the woman praying for the fruit of the womb. The woman who have waited. The woman who have wept. The woman who have watched others receive what she has prayed for. The woman who is carrying pain in silence. Many women ask, how should I pray for children? Yet as I search the scriptures, I find myself asking a different question. What if the first prayer is not for children? What if the first prayer is, Yahuwah, make me an Eema in Israel? Because there is something remarkable about the women of scripture. Sarah, Rivqah, Rachel, Channah, even Ruth. The testimony is never simply about children. The testimony is always about covenant. The testimony is always about tending what Yahuwah has already given. The testimony is always about Yahuwah bringing forth something that belongs first to Him. And perhaps this is why the word says something so unusual to the barren woman. Not wait until the child arrives, not rejoice after having the blessing, but sing before the answer, before the child, before the womb, before the answer. The word says, sing, O barren. Achuti, notice something. The word does not only tell the barren to sing, it tells her to rejoice, to burst forth into rejoicing, to cry out for joy, not after the promise arrives, not after the womb opens, not after the tent is full, before. Consider that the woman still waiting is being asked to rejoice. The woman still praying is being asked to rejoice. The woman who has not yet seen the fruit is being asked to rejoice. Why? Because Yahuwah is teaching her to respond to His word before her circumstances change. The barren woman is not told to rejoice because the child has arrived. She is told to rejoice because Yahuwah has spoken. And then immediately afterward, Isaiah says, enlarge the place of your tent. Achuti, why would Yahuwah tell a barren woman to enlarge her tent? Why prepare a dwelling that is not yet full? Why stretch the curtain? Why lengthen the cords? Why strengthen the stakes? Because faith prepares the room before the promise arrives. Before an increase comes preparation. Before inheritance comes nurturing. Before fruitfulness comes enlargement. The Hebrew word for tent is ohel. A tent is a dwelling, a household, a covering, a place where covenant is preserved. Yahuwah was not only speaking about physical increase, He was speaking about preparation of the heart, of character, of the household. Perhaps this is where many of us begin, not with the room, but with the tent. Can wisdom dwell there? Can peace dwell there? Can covenant dwell there? Can the word dwell there? Can future generations find shelter there? Because before the womb opens, Yahuwah often enlarged the tent. And that brings us to another word, Eema, mother. The Eema in Israel is more than one who gives birth. she becomes a source of life, a source of nurture, a source of instruction, a source of wisdom. The woman who trains the next generation in covenant, who teaches the fear of Yahuwah, who guards her household, who builds and does not tear down. Wisdom calls from her household, and the Eema in Yisrael answers that call. So perhaps before asking for children, we should ask, Yahuwah, am I becoming an Eema in Israel? Am I becoming a woman who can keep the covenant? Am I becoming a woman who can nurture what's belong to you? Because children do not ultimately belong to us. They belong to Yahuwah. And that is where the deeper wisdom of the first fruit begins. The firstborn belongs to Yahuwah. The first fruits belong to Yahuwah. This appeared throughout scripture. The first belongs to him. And Channah understood this. Many remember Channah because she wanted a son. But look deeper. Before she received Shemuel, she surrendered him. Before she held him, she had already offered him. She did not simply pray, give me a child. She prayed as a woman willing to return that child to Yahuwah. That is so profound. She surrendered before receiving. And perhaps this is why her testimony continues to speak to us. Not because she was barren, but because she trusted Yahuwah. Not because she desired, but because she surrendered. The same is true for Sarah. Sarah laughed, yet Yahuwah fulfilled his promise, not because of her strength, her age, her ability, but because the promise belonged to him. And Rivqah, she also knew barrenness, yet Yitzhak sought Yahuwah, and he heard his prayer. The open womb came by the hand of Yahuwah. And then there's Ruth, often remembered because of Boaz. Yet before increase came surrender. Before inheritance came covenant. Before fruitfulness came obedience. She left her people, her land, her future. She chose Yahuwah first. And afterward came increase. There is a beautiful connection, hidden in the Hebrew. The word for womb is rechem. And from the same root comes rachamim, mercy, compassion, tender love. Think about that. The place where life is formed is connected to the same root as mercy. The womb is not only biological, it is covenantal. It is compassionate. It reflects something about the nature of Yahuwah himself. This is why I say, do not only pray for children, pray for an open womb, pray for an open heart, pray for wisdom. Pray to become an Eema in Israel. Pray for a tent enlarged by faith. Pray for the ability to nurture a covenant inheritance. Pray for the character required to raise what Yahuwah entrusts to you. Pray because fruitfulness is not measured by numbers. Listen to Sarah. Do not trust in their survival or rely on their numbers, for one can be better than 1,000. One covenant child can impact generations. One life surrendered to Yahuwah is worth more than a multitude without covenant. Do not measure fruitfulness by quantity. Measure fruitfulness by faithfulness. And now we return to Isaiah. The barren woman is told, sing, shout for joy, not after, before, because Yahuwah was already preparing what she could not yet see. The tent was being enlarged, the stakes was being strengthened, the cord was being lengthened, the dwelling was being prepared, the heart was being prepared, the Eema in Israel was being formed. So if you are praying for the fruit of the womb today, do not stop there. Pray, Yahuwah, make me an Eema in Israel. Teach me wisdom. Enlarge my tent. Prepare my heart. Open my room according to your will. And if you entrust children to me, let me remember they belong first to you. Let me instruct them according to your covenant. Let me train them according to your word. Let me raise them for your glory. And until that day, I will shout for joy. I will sing because you told the barren woman to sing. I will enlarge my tent because you told the barren woman to enlarge the tent. I will prepare the room because you are the one who opened the room. B'Shem Yahusha HaMashiach. Selah.